And we're recording. It took it a second there, but
that was the longest time it took to say start. I've had that with StreamYard before. I've never had it go that long.
Yeah, it was like spinning for a second, and I was like, okay, all right. You just got to be prepared. A lot of people have a countdown. I don't know how you put a countdown on here. Not really. I think I did for the live
I think it's
stream.
in the banner part.
Yeah.
That's more for like live streams. It doesn't need to be recordings.
Well, I'm Austin Light, creator of the title Envy and More to Come, under the brand American Demon Comics. And I am joined by my good friend Brandon Ingram of Dismay Comics. How you doing, Brandon?
Doing pretty good. Pretty good. I'm getting over a cold, so if anyone that watches this, if they see me mute my mic at any point, it's probably to sniffle my nose, that sort of thing. But overall, doing pretty good. I had original art for a comic that I can't really talk about right now come in. But
are you holding it up?
No.
Okay.
Is my video lagging?
Yeah, this is pretty atrocious. I was going.
Also, for those that are listening, just listen for this episode because my video sucks right now because there's a random pop-up storm, literally a pop-up storm, because weathermen didn't even know it was here because I looked at it when it was raining and all the weathermen were like, it's sunny out. A little bit of clouds. It's like, you're completely wrong.
Maybe in like a 2-mile radius off, it's sunny somewhere, but not there.
It might just be this little patch.
I have my headphones on the way. I'm gonna turn them around real quick.
I gotcha.
It throws me off when I want to turn it down and it's not on the right thing, or turn it up. Hopefully the levels are leveling out and everybody can hear both of us just perfectly fine. So I want to get into Kickstarter. Actually, first I'm going to start off with these cool shipping supply tips for branding. I have these, like, they fit 8.5 by 11 documents. They're kind of like bubble wrap inside. This is what I sent most of my pre-orders. How those came out, I don't know, but they were bag and boarded, local shipping, and there's bubble wrap inside. So I like this packaging. It's a little bit cheaper than the box. And it can still fit a good amount of stuff in it. On Amazon, I got a 100-pack of black ones. So I think that's going to look sick because I also get to customize like my shipping labels. I usually put my little logo on it. So I hope to kind of reinforce my branding that way. I saw that and thought, oh, how fun,
With shipping, did you use Pirate Ship with shipping?
I didn't use any shipping.
You didn't use? I highly recommend going through Pirate Ship, not sponsored or anything like that. Go through Pirate Ship because you can get cheaper. Did you ship through USPS?
Last time that I shipped, I did use the U.S. Postal Service. I took all of them up to the post office, and I had stamps on them already, but they had to even it out with more stamps and like that kind of stuff. They came out to about $3.50 or $4 shipping. And then when I did shipping labels specifically from like the there was a different moment I had to ship these things. Like the one I shipped to you, I specifically made shipping labels and bought those, which was much smoother than doing this whole post office stamp crap. So that's the route I plan on going again, is to just straight up ship or print the shipping labels and stick them to the packages.
When
Those,
buying the shipping labels, did you do that through the post office website?
yeah.
I highly recommend do pirate ship next time. They they work with post office, UPS, like all that stuff, but it's usually a slightly discounted rate from the post office or whatever. Like I used to, back when it was cheaper, I used to do flat rate mailers like through USPS back when it was like $7 for that, but then it's gone up and up and up. Then I discovered pirate ship, and within the past year already they were cheaper going through pirate ship for USPS. But within the past year, maybe year and a half, they had a change to it to where it's now like even cheaper. Like let me find something as an example. Here, I'll use this guy's box. Okay, so the classic, I know I'm folding it wrong, people. That's fine. Oh, I'm gonna not show his address. The classic Gemini mailer, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's folded wrong. I don't have time to fold it right. The classic Gemini mailer, like the sturdiest thing for protecting the book, as well as it's pretty small. The average shipping for me was like $5.80, which is like very cheap for a Gemini mailer, and that was going through pirate ship. And so even if you're not doing a Gemini mailer, if you're just using like poly bags and stuff, they also have a discounted rate on that as well, like that type of shipping. So if you're doing like mass amounts of labels, I mean, even if you're doing one or two, you can still use pirate ship. But if you're doing mass amount of labels that you're printing and putting on and stuff, if you're doing like 5, 10, more than that, I recommend going through pirate ship, because it starts stacking up in terms of how much you're saving, pretty much.
Yeah. So I'm guessing that if you can use it for one or two items, that for currently I haven't shipped anything. Yeah, I'm still within like usability. It didn't have to be like a pre-Kickstarter setup or anything.
No. It's it's strictly just like if you're trying to ship something and you want to get a shipping label sort of thing, you can like create it on their thing and go ahead and pay for it on pirate ship, and then have the label, and then go to the post office and drop it off, that sort of thing.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that.
Yeah,
I don't know how,
like 2 years ago, and it's saved me a lot.
I don't know how much the new book is going to weigh, but considering it's almost double in length, I would assume it's going to weigh a good bit more in terms of just these low weight, shipping things. So, and then on top of that, some of these are getting shipped in pairs with the first and second issue. So, I'm sure the weight difference would probably make my shipping labels go up to $6 or $7. So if I can save anything there, that would be great.
I was about to say, with like most of the stuff that most of the times when I'm shipping with like going through pirate ship to do it, like I'm at least saving $1 a package, like sometimes more. Like their savings on everything. The biggest saving I've had is if you're doing international shipping, go through pirate shipping. Like, one, international shipping is already expensive, but they give you like the best rates to kind of go under. One thing I'll mention is don't do UPS with pirate shipping, or pirate ship, because with that, like UPS for some reason in other countries and stuff has a like it doesn't have like a import tax or something included on it, to where like it gets shipped and then maybe a week later or 2 weeks later you get an email from UPS saying, hey, your package is at customs. In order for it to move forward, you have to pay this import tax or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a pain. Don't do UPS for international shipping. In general, don't do UPS in international shipping. Don't do it on pirate ships specifically, because you'll forget about that import tax and it's just additional stuff. But yeah, it's international shipping is like cheaper through pirate ship.
Okay.
It's been good for me.
All right. Awesome. I will be looking into that, and appreciate the tip. And one thing that I will also kind of correct on this previous Kickstarter, that I did not know that I was supposed to get in touch with Comics Wellspring beforehand on doing a crowdfunding thing. I kind of guessed that it would be given if it is funded. But that's not the case. You must contact them, and then they give you a code that expires after like 2 months. And your campaign should not be going past 2 months. So it's supposed to be available. I'm guessing it could be available even if you don't fund. But
yeah, because I mean, you ultimately were just like advertising for them on the Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, even if you didn't fund, I could see it still being available.
So next time I will have to go through that small bit of bureaucracy of getting the code. But so this brings me to the first point: is Kickstarter has sent the money, and it is going through the transactions of my bank to be transferred over. My first question for you, Brandon, was how long does that normally take for you? Because they give a wide, like 3 to 2 week window.
Regarding when the money actually hits my account?
Yeah.
Almost every time it was like 2 weeks, maybe like sometimes 16, 17 days. Almost every time for me, though, was like 2 weeks after the Kickstarter had ended, like right after it ended, 2 weeks and maybe a few days after. But I've never had it go longer than that. I've never had it shorter, because I've heard some people say, oh, I got it like a week later. I've never had that. It's always been 2 weeks for me.
Well, so I've had the 2 weeks pass, and then they've notified me that it's sent. So once it is sent, how long does that normally take? It sounds like it must only take about 1 to 3 days.
I would assume so, because at that point, that sounds like more of a bank. Not saying it's an issue, but more of a bank's problem sort of thing. Like it's now sent. Now it's just the bank, how long it takes them to normally process funds like that.
Mm-hmm. All right. So I get the money, and I have several expenses. So the first expense is having the comic printed. The quote could be, so I was considering having a lower amount of comics than like was in my brain, and that was kind of set the quote. But I'm like, well, I've sold out of my 40, and then I sold out almost of my 25 that I bought. So I need to get a good sum to like make good on this shipping. So I went with 100. issue number 1, and then my 40 for the variant, and then oh, we lost Brandon. Hold on one moment. And
so
we're back.
yeah, before the weather had to interrupt everything, where you were at with what I heard was you were going over what you had bought. You had bought 100 copies of number 1. You had bought 40 copies of the variant, and then that's when it cut out for me.
Right. And so, and then I'm getting 80 copies of issue number 2 regular cover. And that's gonna run about $200 or $300 more than I want it to. I'm also getting some bookmarks, so that's gonna be a fun experiment. It was fun kind of playing with the design of the bookmark. I kind of used the sigil of Belial to make it decorative, and then it's also kind of like a business card because there's also your logo and website on the other side of it. So I'm excited about that. But the bill is, like I said, approximately going to be about $200 more than expected after getting t-shirts and shipping. It looks like I'm going to be left with almost nothing, which is less. It's not like terrible. But I was hoping that I'd have like a chunk of money left for the Comic Expo when they go live for the vendor spots, that I could be like, here it is. So that might have to come out of my own pocket for that.
Yeah. You went through Wellspring, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when did you make that order?
I have not made the order yet. I'm still waiting on the money to go through.
Okay. So you've seen like that total recently then, I'm guessing.
Yes.
So I'm not like I'm not accusing Comics Wellspring or anything. It's just based on what I've seen as a customer. So did you look at the bulk pricing that they have now? The bulk discount pricing now?
No.
Okay, so they change it up to where it sounds really good. It's like 50 to 99 copies is when the bulk discount starts.
Mm-hmm.
Used to it was like 250 to 500, you would get a 5% discount.
Right.
501 to 750, 10% discount, that sort of thing. It's different now. It's like 49 to 99 copies starts at like 12% off. And then it goes up from there and there to where like once you get to like, I don't know, I think it was like 250 copies or something, you have like 20% off sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now that sounds great. And then if you also think about like if you had got that 10% Kickstarter discount, it's like, oh dang, like that's great savings.
Yeah. I'm
not accusing Comics Wellspring of anything, but their prices went up.
Mm-hmm.
This, like, forget about the bulk discount for right now. The reason I know this is because, one, I've ordered with them before, and I've ordered with them in like less than a year ago. It was the last order I put with them. It was last October. Their prices went up because I am working on a project with other artists right now, and I'm kind of in charge of trying to figure out who are we going to go with as a printer.
Right.
And it was between Comics Wellspring and Mix'em. And I looked at Wellspring and I put our total numbers, like we're going to be ordering like at least 500 books, maybe 1,000 books, but at least 500. So I was just trying to see what would be the best deal sort of thing. Wellspring has went up. Like they have their unit price has went up because I was just looking for 24 interior pages plus the cover, interior, back cover, that sort of thing. So 24 interior pages. And the price was like kind of ridiculous because like it seemed more expensive than what I paid for a 32 page book last year, because Tales from Town City was a 32 interior book,
Yeah.
and it was about price wise equal amount, maybe more than that Tales from Town City book.
Mm-hmm.
But not accusing them of anything. Based on what I'm seeing, though, this is all alleged. Allegedly.
Their prices definitely went up.
Their prices went up, and these bulk discounts, because if you go to Comics Wellspring, you click on the bulk thing, it's like, man, these are some great discounts I've never seen before with their bulk discount. I almost see it as like hiding the fact that the prices went up.
Oh, yeah.
Like the prices went up, and then you have these bulk discounts where it's like, ooh, I'm getting a great deal on this, when really, like, with the prices haven't gone up, and even with the discounts, you're paying about what you used to pay without all those discounts, maybe even a little bit more, to where it's like, okay, I don't see this as like, I'm not saying it is, but I don't see this as being like illegal or anything, but this is, I don't know, I'm not a fan of that, of like Walmart does that sort of stuff, where it's like, oh, like discount on this thing, when really they jack the price up and then said 30% off or whatever.
Yeah. No, their prices got jacked, because I'm looking at my run for the 25, the minimum, this year, and it says the per price is $3.03.
What's the page count?
It's 20 interior.
Oh, just 20 interior. Wow.
And the new the issue 1 that I've put in the cart, it's on my laptop. For whatever reason, the browser doesn't bring up what it is on my desktop, but I'm pretty sure that was reading at like almost $4, if not $4 per unit, and that's at 100. So that should be getting like a good bulk discount.
Yeah.
And even with these discounts, it sounds to be $1 more expensive per
so
unit.
You're saying, like, back when you ordered those 25, it was 303.
Yes.
And now ordering 100, it's $4 and some change.
Yes.
Yeah, they definitely did go, because I thought that was the case because literally this was a day or two ago when I was looking at this, because I'm trying to settle on a printer, and I saw all this. I was like, their prices went up insane amount. And like, here's the thing, I'm almost okay with, I'm not okay with their prices going up, but they have to go up, they go up. They're running
right.
company. I'm not a fan of like these prices getting jacked up this much, and then you like making us feel kind of good with the, but look at these discounts. It's like, it's still more expensive.
Yeah.
Like, even adding the discount, it's still more expensive. At what?
Yeah, you
when
couldn't
did you order
even
those 25. Those 25 you ordered back in like April, right? Like March or April.
In March.
So it's not even a year ago. That's not even 6 months ago. Not even 6 months ago, they made this drastic shift in price change.
And it's like, you can't even match. You can't even get the bulk discount to match what the minimum was before, like for like the maximum price. Like 303 would be the maximum price, because it's the minimum purchase of 25.
Yeah.
So you can't even get the discount to match that.
Like, to match that previous no discount price.
Yeah,
that's wild. Yeah, because you're ordering 100 copies of the same exact book. What is it? Let's see. April, May, June, July. 4 months later. It's only 4 months later. Ordering the same book 4 months later. 100 copies this time, to where a bulk discount would apply. And yet, even after the bulk discount, it is still more than those 25 copies 4 months ago. That's
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
I'm
that's
glad
ridiculous.
I'm glad you brought that up because I might go look take a second look at Mixum.
No, I already like I told our group like the only because I compared Mixum, Comics Wellspring, I compared a bunch of them,
Mhm.
but with Comics Wellspring compared to Mixum, the only benefit of it is if you're making 100 or less books, Comics Wellspring is a little bit cheaper than Mixum if you're making 100 or less. If you're
Mhm.
making more than that, Mixum is way cheaper.
Okay.
Because yeah, there was insane price differences when I was looking at even 250, like 200, like that's a lot. But the reason I'm saying it's small here is like there's 5 creatives on this one project I'm doing. Like we're shipping books out through Kickstarter. Then each of us are going to want probably 100 copies each, sort of thing.
Right.
Then we're also going to try to do Heroes Con next year. We want to bring at least 100 copies there, sort of thing.
Right.
To where we're going to order at least 500 copies in
Yeah.
total. And when I was looking at that, I was like, oh my gosh, like Mixum's like so much cheaper, as
Well,
well as like Mixum is cheaper. What sucks is I haven't used them before, but similar to Comics Wellspring, they have a sample pack that you can order. I'll
mhm.
send you the link. I just ordered it last night. And unlike Comics Wellspring, you don't have to pay the shipping. Like they just ship
What?
it to you. Because Comics Wellspring, that
Oh.
sample pack you had to pay $9.99 for.
Mhm.
This one,
Oh, okay.
nothing.
It's sample pack.
Yeah, the sample pack, basically the paper types, you can see what they're like and
Right.
stuff like that. So I'll send that to you because you can just go ahead and get a free sample pack, see what you think of the stuff. Now, the comic that comes with, because Mixum does more than just comics, as brochures, different stuff that'll
Yeah.
be in that sample pack. The comic it comes with is a little bit smaller than your typical comic, but that's not the important thing. With that sample comic is to see the paper type, what it looks like,
Do they have a
that sort of
standard
stuff.
size?
They do have a standard size. It's
Okay.
just with the sample pack, it's a little bit smaller. It's slightly bigger than like a manga volume.
What I don't
Dimensions
like
are.
is having to change my format in the setup.
Yeah.
Because like I said with Kablam, I'm like, if Comics Wellspring can print it like the way I send it to them,
Yeah.
you should also be able to print it in the same way. It's the same size. You know,
Yeah.
please don't give me a headache of like having to like make different files and change this around, and it has to be numbered in a different way. Because working with InDesign is a headache. It is
Mhm.
just all your files have to be linked to files that stay with the InDesign file. So I mean, if everything's on a thumb drive, then it should all stay linked.
Yeah.
But it still gets to be a headache because, like, for me, I change between my desktop and my laptop, and my desktop does not have the same version of InDesign installed on it as my
Right.
laptop. And when I open a file of InDesign in on my desktop, it's like, oh, there's all these links that need to be relinked. Oh, there's all these fonts that are not here that are there, and I'm like, ah. So having to deal with InDesign and then like make it the right size and the right spreads and it's Comics Wellspring really did make it easy for me, which I'm
Yeah.
gonna say their template now is Photoshop, not InDesign.
They got rid of the
Um,
InDesign one.
I can't find it. I if they
Oh
got
yeah,
rid of
that's
it,
right.
they kind of got rid of it.
I went on there and maybe the Photoshop one is there. Like I went on it yesterday, I think, because
Hmm.
I was trying to send it to an artist, and I only saw the PDF. I don't even think I saw the Photoshop. Because now if you go to the template tab in their website, it's a different, like that whole page is a different layout than what it
Hmm.
was a week ago, sort of thing.
I wonder if they're still setting it up. I wonder if they're still trying to like
Maybe
figure it out. Like,
it might be,
because
yeah.
because have the InDesign one from previously. But if I didn't, I wouldn't know how to set it up the way they had it set up. Like, I know the size of a comic book, but like, I know how to set a bleed mark, but I don't know how to
Right.
set that inner column and to have a divider. Maybe it's like one page
Yeah.
and then it's divided like it's two. I don't know how they like specifically had that set up.
Yeah, I
Um,
don't have I have it saved in my downloads. I could probably just type in InDesign and
mhm.
that thing will pop up. I never downloaded the spread page one, so if that's gone, I can't get that. Um, but I have all the other stuff downloaded. I just have to go through downloads and find them. But yeah, when I looked at it yesterday, I only saw the PDF version of the 6.88 by 10.5 page template with the
Mhm.
bleed and all that stuff.
And that's what I didn't like about Kablam. They had a template. It just wasn't like it wasn't like transferred into my program I needed to be transferred into. It was just like here's what it looks like if you set it up.
Mm.
And but they don't give you like instructions on setting it up. It was very annoying.
Well, based
So
on because I've never ordered through Kablam, but I've looked at them like periodically throughout the years because always just seeing different printers and stuff like that.
mhm.
They're, I mean, again, it's been at least a year or two since I've looked at it. But when I looked at it, it seemed Kablam was big in terms of printing for indies back in like the early to mid 2000s. It was big. It was kind of the go-to.
Right.
But it seems like they haven't really updated their stuff
Yeah.
since. Like the website feels very like old
Yes.
with not a
Yes.
lot of information on it.
It is. It's a little archaic.
Mhm.
They would do well if they updated just the user friendliness of their website.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pause again. I do have to
Okay.
we'll be right back. All right. um so yeah, we left off on archaic Kablam. I'm interested in checking out Mixum because here's the thing: if I could get more copies from Mixum at a similar price, that'd be worth it. So,
That's the thing. Like when I looked at Mixum, the one thing that Comics Wellspring currently, even though they jack their prices up, the one thing that they still have on Mixum is if you wanted to order 25 copies, you're still ordering at like $4 a unit, whereas like Mixum or any other printer, if you're ordering 25, you're looking at like $6 to $8 a piece sort of thing because
mhm.
it's such a low run. Um, but yeah, once you get past 100, like you really see like major price differences.
Like if I can look at 150 and then 200 total of the issue number 2, and see what the pricing comes out to, maybe $100 more, let's say,
Yeah, yeah.
then it's so worth it. We can get
Oh
that
yeah,
unit
yeah,
price down.
yeah, yeah. No, that's the key thing is like, especially after I saw because I was considering Comics Wellspring, like with my group and stuff. Especially after I saw this price jack up, and then you're hiding benefits with these discounts. After I saw that, I was like, okay, I've 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 dealt with your stuff enough, Comics Wellspring. Like I I was like kind of a supporter early
Mhm.
on when I started using Comics Wellspring. That's what's so sad about this is like I know for those that don't make comics, this sounds like who gives a crap sort of stuff. But it's like such a fall from grace to me
Mhm.
regarding Comics Wellspring.
Because they
Like
do
they were
such a
the
good job
go-to.
with the
Yeah, yeah,
not only the comic but like your service, like
yeah, yeah,
getting things fixed and everything.
yeah. It's just like the 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 multiple issues in terms of proofs messing up or getting books and they're not matching the proof, or printing issues, all this stuff, and then like the secret jack up of price, and then the pretend discount sort of stuff. It's like, man, like I don't know. You guys are falling out of grace with me.
Yeah, as indie creators, we're not there's a lot of reasons you go indie, and there's a lot of reasons you don't strive to be in a corporate environment. But one of them is the ethics, and if it feels like you're not being transparent about your prices, that doesn't sit well with an indie creator. So
Yeah,
it would have done them good, I think, to just be like, hey, we have to increase our prices due to such and such reasons.
I would have been okay with that.
Yeah.
Like I might not use it, but I'd still feel okay about your company. I would still be like, well, I mean, if I'm going to do lower print runs, yeah, I'll still go with them. Like I would still feel that way. But not being transparent about this, I don't know, it leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Because for us, because we've used them before, we see that price change. My issue is the newbies that are coming in. Like we're already kind of newbies, but I'm talking about people who've only been doing it like a year sort of thing or less, or just going into it. They've heard all this stuff about Comics Wellspring being good because like people 2 years ago used them and it was like, yeah, this was a great experience sort of thing. They've heard that and then they're like, okay, I'm going to go use Comics Wellspring. Then they're going to buy their books and stuff. And for the most part, they might be happy. But they don't know that the prices just recently got jacked up. And they don't know because they've heard good things about Comics Wellspring. They don't know that there's cheaper options out there that are, based on stuff I've seen, better options.
Right.
That's why I'm
and I feel like I mentioned this before, but when I left a review. I left 2 reviews, so for like both orders I've done, and one of them wasn't too good. I was like a 2-star maybe review because I was like, I missed 2 events. Like I wanted to sell these things and make money off of it, and it got me thinking, like, what are the reviews like? And I went to go look at the reviews, and there was not any reviews at the top that were not from like 2017. And I could scroll for years and not find a new review. And on top of that, I didn't see any bad ones. So I'm like, oh, you're hiding you're hiding stuff,
Yeah, it's one of those things where like when I was first starting out, when I printed with them starting in 2020, like I had a couple issues here and there. I don't think I've ever not had a print issue, but it wasn't that bad then, as well as the price like was still the best price in the game for the quality you're getting. So I was like, oh yeah, like I'll happily forgive this one issue, because that was back when they actually fulfilled the hey, we'll have this to you in 2 to 3 weeks sort of thing. That's been gone for at least 2 years now. People can talk about, oh, it's because the building and the moving, all. No. That's been around for 2 years. That moving stuff didn't happen till less than a year ago. Don't give me that excuse. Like I would have backed that excuse, but with just how much issues I've had with them and then stuff like this, I'm not. Gosh, I sound like such a Comics Wellspring hater. I'm not. I've used their stuff. I'm just disappointed right now. They are / were so good. I'm just very disappointed. It's like I don't know. It's like a brother. I'm a brother. I'm finding out that my sibling is off doing this thing over there, doing like some not great stuff over here, or just straight off the path sort of thing. And I'm like, like I've seen better from you. I've seen better from you. Come on.
I wanted to I was just gonna point out our podcast went from like talking a lot about conventions to talking a lot about Kickstarter and dissing Comics Wellspring.
Yeah, I think we have at least 3 episodes, at least, dissing Comics Wellspring.
Yeah. Is we get on the topic though, and we just can't help ourselves.
Yeah.
It's something new every time. So like the price increase here. But I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna move us to the our comic project that me and you are working on. So Brandon proposed that we do a very cheap and small comic for giving out at Halloween and Halloween oriented events, and you know, anything.
And it was first mentioned / conceptualized on one of the first episodes of this. It was back in like early November or something, or maybe October before Halloween, where we were talking about how I was talking about how like less than 10 years ago, Diamond had a thing where you could order like a pack of 20 mini comics for $5 plus shipping, and you could give those out at Halloween. But now no company does that anymore, and it's sad. And I was talking about how I want a company to do that, and then Austin didn't intentionally do this, but he did kind of say like, why not, like, if no one's doing it, why not you do it, sort of thing. Or why not we do it, sort of thing. And I was like, dang, he has a point. if there's something, if you were complaining about something and you have the resources to possibly fill those complaints, why not do it? So when Austin had mentioned that back when we recorded that in like October, November, I was like, dang, like I want to do that, to where, like, I don't know, shortly after I messaged Austin, I was like, you said it right. Like, would you want to do a collab on just a little mini comic? And I've never done a mini comic before. So Austin, he's done at least a couple of those before with Envy and different stuff. So he knew the ins and outs regarding how it's laid out with the one page and folding it, and then the cut in the 1 point and all that. So once we had all that information, we just kind of went from there. But yeah, it's coming along. I'm liking the art you're doing so far.
Well, I'm glad you like it. Yeah, it would be, let's see, I got a notebook paper. I think it'd be approximately this big.
Yeah.
Maybe a little taller, maybe a little thinner, but approximately this big. And with this layout, with this size, it's only going to be, I think it could fit 2 panels on it personally. But it would probably be best readable at 1 panel per page. And so that's what we've gone with. So it's just 1 panel per page, and it's just going to lay out a joke. It's very kid friendly. I kind of want to put the word crap in there, but Brandon keeps saying stuff. And I'm like,
here's the thing. I do like crap with that last panel with one of those guys saying it, because it makes sense. But the only reason I'm pushing back a little bit on it is the true kid friendliness of it. I'm ultimately okay if my kid says crap or anything, but I know there are some parents that's like, crap is a cuss word, sort of thing.
Yeah. And you know, you giving this out at Halloween, you don't know what age is going to have it.
Right.
So it is going to play a purpose in showing our style. So it's going to show his writing style, and it's going to show my art style. Um, I wanted to bring to the table for this episode. I really want to keep it at the point we are at in the episode. I want to keep it to about 10 minutes. But let's see, the most recent issue. So I wanted to also do this for a showing how people are going to collab on something.
Yeah.
Some people are different. A different artist might be more just give me what to do and I'm just gonna do it flat, plain and simple. Um, Me, I'm kind of like, what about we approach it this way
Yeah.
and see how that comes back. So on the last thing that we left off on was the placement of one of the kids in the joke. For me, making it, one of the kids has his fist up, and I think this is going to be turned around on a camera or something, so it's not going to make any sense. But
But
in
I
my view,
know I know what you're talking about though, because I've seen the
Mhm.
panel slash page.
And everybody will eventually see what we end up on. But the bubble for the first phrase, it fits better on this side, and so I want it to go to one of these kids, and then the second phrase comes up on better on the other side with the kid that's kind of offset from him. And um, to me, I can change where they're at, um, and I don't think it'd be too hard. What I something that I'm excited to tell people about is I do this thing called whites. So essentially, I learned this from people coloring. When a color artist goes in, they do something called flats, and they kind of make the base color, and then they make the next biggest base color, and then they make the next biggest base color, and they flats. That's just flat color, kind of gives the base for whatever they're coloring. I do whites, so that way I have a layer of this white uh, uh, form that has taken place where all the figures are, so that it separates them from the background. I don't have to do like any tedious erasing. And then also I can just throw the background in there without worrying, because behind the whites, so the whites still separate the characters. And then on top of that, um, I have this, you know, uh, tool in Clip Studio, and it's also in Photoshop, where you hold down Control and you can click on a layer, and it'll just automatically select that layer. And it'll put that layer in the selection frame, or whatever you call it, the walking ants,
Mhm.
as people say. And um, then I can just easily tone the characters that way, where I just control, click, they're selected. I can just start putting tone on them without worrying about it bleeding into the background or over something. Um, and I've utilized this in this panel. So what I would have to do is probably delete the whites out and erase. And then I did erase prematurely on some of the background lines, so I might have to redraw some of the lines and just reconfigure. It really would, it'd probably be about an hour to adjust this. But for me, to me, it doesn't really matter which kid is saying which thing, because even her in a panel, the one of the kids is throwing up the comic like, I don't want this, I want a candy. And to me, it's her saying, and next time I have candy, is like, I don't, it's exactly just what I phrased it. I don't want this comic, I want candy. So she's discarding it. Just, and I think that that works just as much as the other kid um saying the different dialogue, the keep that stuff for conventions. um I think it works both ways just as well on the comic. But if you have a different point of view or a different reasoning as to these characters need to be swapped, we can I can listen and go from there.
I personally think the character you're talking about though in the comic, not seeing, because you don't see that character's face, and I like that. I like you don't see that character's face. Just throwing the comic back, them saying, because what they say isn't really like an angry yell, but because there's no exclamation point. I mean, there can be, but what they're saying is just like I forgot what the line was, but it's like save that stuff for conventions. That sort of thing. Save that stuff for conventions. Whereas the person that has their fist up, that's angry, and they can have their fist up or not have their fist up, but one character that like is showing anger, even with the smallest thing, just being a fist up, them saying, and yeah, have candy next time, like that sort of thing, like that sounds like an angry thing. I don't entirely see the anger there with the kid who you don't see any form of anger. They're like, yes, this could be deemed as anger, like throw in the comic, but you don't really see that as much as like the one person.
Right.
And even in the panel you did, maybe I'm just misremembering it. It's, for those listening, it's like a ghost kid. He's like wearing a sheet, has the eyes cut out, that sort of thing. He has the fist up, and if I remember, like the slightest bit, he looks kind of angry, even though he has the sheet on. I don't know. Even if he doesn't,
I put the
I
eyebrow.
I think that's what it was. I was about to say, at the very least, you see him as angry. And I like having that little bit, and I also like the inclusion of what the clown is doing, the little kid clown, because I like that as well. It's just like this is the one kid that's just like, I'm just with them, like, sorry. like I like that. So I like the one character who is like not angry, just like waste of time sort of thing. It was a waste of time. Like, save that stuff for conventions, man. And then one kid that's like actually angry, just like and yeah, next time have candy. I wanted
my candy.
Yeah. And then you got the little clown kid like, yeah, sorry, my friends, gotta go with them, sort of thing.
Yeah. I put a little bit of sympathy in the clown, being like, well, I wanted the comic. I feel like you can swap the anger in both phrases. You know what I mean? But now you made good points, so I can concede to change it. But I think that I could see the anger being displaced into the different parts. But for flipping the page, I think that exclamation, anger being carried out at the end might work better,
as well as that little bit, like I don't know, it's like an added little like funny thing that you sometimes see in, like, not saying this is kid show type thing, but like you sometimes see it where it's like you have like the main character or whatever, the main antagonist of some show, and they lay out their case and they're like, this is why I'm going, and then they start walking away, and then their little sidekick like has one last little thing to say,
yeah,
like, and we're actually taking this as well, like that little stuff, like that's how I see with that little ghost kid. He's like that little thing, like the sidekick of an antagonist sort of thing, for whatever antagonist you can have in a 6-panel comic.
Okay. Yeah, I can change that. And hearing the reasoning makes it feel better for me to change it.
Yeah. And no, I'm happy like you like like came to me like with this stuff as well.
Hmm.
Like I love hearing artists out and stuff like that. And like I every artist I work with, I always encourage them like, hey, like if 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 you think something will work better here, or suggestions or anything like that, like I'm all in. Because at the end of the day, I'm a writer. I'm not an artist. So like the biggest thing, like I'm glad I went with. I'll mention one big change that we had with this comic for the listener. So originally it was a side shot sort of thing, and each panel was pretty much the same style side shot, similar to like a Peanuts comic strip type side shot. And because I'm not an artist, like in terms of dynamic layouts and stuff, that's how I was thinking in terms of the humor and how the humor could hit and stuff when I was first writing it. Then Austin sent these recent panels and pages that he did, and they're not like side shot, side shot, side shot, not the same thing. They're more dynamic shots and angles. And when I first saw them, because I had that thought previously, I was like, I'm not sure, because I had it side shot in my
Hmm.
head. But then like after like 5 to 10 hours of thinking on it, I was like, no, that actually works a lot better. Like, because I then reread like how you had the dynamic pages and panels. Like, oh, it actually like I think that hits better, and also won't be. I think joke wise, the side shot thing possibly could hit equal, maybe not even equal. But in terms of the art and like you as a reader staying attentive to it, these dynamic shots I think work a lot better. I think it works a lot better than just side shot, side shot, side shot. So that was an example of Austin had this idea, and it's like Austin the artist had this idea, and then me the writer, because I'm not an artist, then seeing that and be like, yeah, that actually is a lot better. Let's go with that sort of thing. So I mentioned all that to say, like, sometimes there are instances like that with working with an artist where this is the layout, and then they're like, what if this? And then I'm like, oh crap, yeah, yeah, like that. Yes, let's do that. That looks way better. That's a better idea.
Hmm. Because as a somebody, even not like just as a writer, but you can be an artist different from another artist, and you just the perspective can be totally different. And what I hope to do in the future is have some people make like side stories of what I'm doing that are also a different writer and a different artist,
Mhm.
just because I think that would be cool to see. Um, but to see how they translate um, what they see on a page. So yeah, it's very cool to see that. With the side shot thing, I was like, I felt like it was just compositionally for the way that I draw, blocking too much, because each side character or each character, I didn't want them to have be lined up like in a
Right,
Peanuts.
right.
I wanted them to be next to each other. But if you have a side shot, straight side shot, and you line them next to each other, then there's a lot you're not seeing.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was the same thing for us two. Um, and I could split us apart, but then I feel like I have gestures or something I want them to do that are going to conflict. And it was just easier for my brain to be like changing the angle a little bit.
The dynamic changes of the panels looks better than the side shot idea. And the thing that like nailed the nail on
Nailed
the
the
coffin,
nail.
whatever. Yeah, nailed the nail. Yeah, I'm exhausted. I'll blame
No, it's
citrus on
okay.
that. But the final thing there was me thinking about like uh, distinctive or crucial things that needed to be seen in a panel that that these closer shots allowed for rather than these like somewhat distant side shots. And like the comic was one of the examples where it's like, oh my gosh, like you won't even be able to see any form of detail at all of this little thing if it is this zoomed out side shot. So it was little things like that. Like already I was leaning towards the dynamic stuff after looking. And then once I thought about those elements that kind of needed you to see them rather than it be like tiny little speck in the background, just because of the side shot. That's not an Austin thing. It's just how a side shot would be. It's like, yeah, you got to go dynamic route so you can actually see that stuff. They're talking about it. We don't want someone having to like go like, oh, okay, that's what they're talking about.
I'm going to end on the way that I had envisioned when I made these thumbnails. I was cracking up because I had me and you in like sunglasses, and what I kind of was invoking was like a stoner kind of mentality where we're just like, we got comics, dude. Man, you want comics? Here, take some comics. You'll feel as good as we do right now. And and as much fun as I was having with that, Brandon was like, no, make us a little bit more cheerful. And I was like, yeah, I don't want it to be like too drug elusive, I guess.
I got that. And like I think a good bit of people wouldn't catch that. That wasn't the reason I said maybe make them more cheerful. The cheerful route that I went with was more like, and this isn't strictly talking about us, even though our characters are within the comic, but it's just like these pathetic people trying to get people into comics. Because that's ultimately like any comic seller today is you are, even if you're at a table doing Artist Alley or whatever, like sometimes you're like pathetically trying to get people, and I'm not saying pathetic in a mean way. It is this. You're like just trying to get people to read your comic or look at your comic or get into comics. And a lot of times it's like, no, I'm good. And then it's like you have that cheerful persona of like, hey, like comics, this one's free. Like, hey, like just trying to get people, like this positivity, just trying to get people into comics. And it's like, no, I'm good. I don't care. Free. Yeah, I don't care. It's like, okay. And then that carries over into the last 2 pages as well. But
I'm really happy. I'm really proud with the 2 convention nerds I've created off the top of my head. One of them is very reminiscent of Eustace from Courage the Cowardly Dog.
Yeah.
Which was not like intentional. I just kind of was like, oh, I'm being subliminally influenced, I guess.
Yeah.
But they're also very funny. What I wanted to shoot this by you. One of them is going to be having a Marvel parody, but I think I went with Gravel. I think so. I don't know how funny or not that is to people. To me, it's kind of funny.
I like, because I saw the T-shirt and that one design, and if it gets changed like how we talked about, possibly it can still be on the back of the shirt, sort of thing. Like, because I still do, I would like to have like those little parody things. Like it can be whatever. Like,
if Gravel's not funny, we can find something funny.
Yeah. We'll find something that sounds similar to Marvel or sounds similar to one of those.
I had something written down different on the thumbnail, but I can't remember what it was.
Harville, or I can't remember.
I accidentally did the thumbnails on the back of one these original sketches I'll be sending out. So like this one has this thumbnail on the back of it. So I only have digital remnants of it or cut up.
So someone will have an alternate version of this mini comic.
Yeah.
The stoner versions of us.
So that was fun. That was fun getting to do that. Now, Brandon, you have some mentions of tier rewards and the 7 different comics you're working on.
Yeah, so I'll first go with the tier rewards thing. So I finally took the time today to I pretty much knew the tiers I wanted to do with this new Gallows Man 3 Kickstarter. But I was trying to think of some new stuff. And what I remembered, like less than a week ago, I remembered I commissioned Thomas Tikas, the main cover artist of Gallows Man. I commissioned him maybe 2.5 years ago to do the issue 3 and 4 covers. And I have those. And then I also bought those covers from him, like the original art. And then I was also like, hey, can I also commission you to do 5 smaller pieces? Like it could be like 8x10 sort of thing. 5 smaller pieces that I could do in like giveaways in Kickstarters, or as like big like original art type tier stuff. He's like, okay, yeah. So I commissioned him to do that. Got those. The reason I mention all this, it was a week ago when I remembered I had those original like 8x10 pieces. I was like, oh crap. Yeah, like my original idea 2.5 years ago when I got to do this, or 2 years ago, whenever it was to, with this campaign, it was originally going to be have one for sale, then have one as a giveaway. I already gave away one with the Dismay Avenue Kickstarter. I'm sorry, people. I can't give away another. I paid money for these. It's not like he did these for free. He did it for a good deal for all 5 of them. But like, yeah, I'm sorry. I can't give away more. I already did.
It's original art. Don't have a price tag. It's
and
priceless.
Basically, like it's these original art pieces. It's kind of the last 2 tiers that I have on the Kickstarter now. It'll be like 12 tiers for the Kickstarter, 11 or 12. But the last 2 are the original art pieces. One is, and it's not just the art piece that you get. One is $169 plus shipping. Then the other is $199 plus shipping. It's not just that. You get the art as well as you get like the biggest bundle at the bottom that comes with like all the comics, all this, all that, all the crazy stuff, and you get this original art piece. So yeah, I'm happy I finally got that. The reason I have that split of 169 to 199, I like both pieces. One has a little bit more detail to it, or almost looks, both look like covers almost. But one looks more like, oh, this looks like just a Gallows Man cover, but on an 8x10 sort of thing.
Yeah.
So that one has a little bit more detail. So I had to increase the price of that one a little bit. But so yeah, I finally have the reward tiers in my head. Probably tonight or tomorrow, I'll go ahead and start setting up the actual Kickstarter page, because Helen right now is doing the thumbnail for it. I commissioned her to do the thumbnail for it / sticker for one of the things. And Rick Alves, who's the variant cover artist of the Gallows Man series, he's doing the cover right now. And based on one of the images, I'm going to have to see, like, I could do a 16:9 crop of part of that cover that he's doing as the thumbnail. I'll have to see between what Helen's doing and that what would work best. But at the very least, what Helen's doing, I've already paid her in commission. At the very least, that can be a sticker if it's not the thumbnail. But yeah, so setting that up, hopefully within the next couple weeks, I have a page up, like a notify me on launch page up that I can send to people. And as of right now, launch is still September 10th. I'm going to try to stick with that, even if it's not 100% finished by September 10th. I feel like it will be. the thing I'm trying to do now is just get all of the interiors completely done at least 2 weeks before that, which we're on like the editing phase of all the pages, which shouldn't take long. Like she's almost done with that. But I need to have all the interiors done at least a couple weeks before the campaign. That way, those that are reviewing the book and those that I'm on their channel with, I can send them something so that they know what the heck we're talking about, sort of thing. But it's going good, like setting up that Kickstarter.
Awesome. I'm with the reviewers. I'm really looking forward to doing another Kickstarter and talking with some of these reviewers again, because they were did really good. Gary, Keith, and Pocan Joe.
Oh yeah.
I love their reviews. I love Katie and Michael working with me. Really awesome people. I really enjoyed Pocan and Gary getting into like the little bit more gritty, a little bit more finer points of the comic to kind of expand upon, because I was able to kind of get more of an essence of my comic from them to advertise with. So I appreciate, again, you doing that. And these tier rewards sounds awesome. These original art tier rewards, I really want to get some more of those put in. And I'm going to note another mistake that I made on the Kickstarter was you said, make sure you put on add-ons, and I went to go back the Vampirella on Kickstarter recently, and I wanted to get two, one for me and one for my dad. And when I went to go back it, I was like, I never thought about like adjusting the quantity. I wonder how that's going to work. So I went to back it, and then it was like add-ons, and then it had like the issue 1, the cover that I want, and I was like, oh, I'll just add on that version of it. And I did not do that with my original contents. I did not have like a PDF add-on. I did not have a issue 1, issue 2 add-on. Excuse me. Because I didn't think about it in that way, that it increases the quantity if somebody wants to have multiple of something and not necessarily go up in the tier. So anybody listening, when you make your Kickstarter, don't do what I do, and make sure you have all the items offered as add-ons so that people can increase their quantities.
Yeah.
And you get more money.
Yeah. Like I have most of that already written down in my notebook for this one. And like the big thing that that usually is done with the add-ons for me are like previous books, like Gallows-Man 1 through 3. Like there are tiers for like all of that stuff within this campaign of Gallows-Man 3 campaign, but really it's Gallows-Man 1 through 3 campaign. But for stuff like Tales from Town City, there's only 1 or 2 tiers that include that. So I'm going to have that in the add-on sort of thing, the digital copy as well as a physical signed copy. Same thing with like the Dismay Avenue comics. Like those have nothing to do with Gallows Man, so I can't just throw those into the tiers. So I'll have those as add-ons. And usually with each Kickstarter, there's at least a few people that add these different comics and stuff. So it's always, I mean, it's like what you said, like there's, hey, it's more money. Even if it's not a ton, it's, hey, it's getting me closer to my goal, or hey, it's progressing me even further to the stretch goal or whatever. So yeah, that's the main add-ons I'll have are like those comics, the PDF of those comics, as well as some Gallows Man sticker and bookmark type stuff that's like cheap add-ons, because sometimes like those, usually at least 5 or 6 of those get added on, because it's like, oh, the bookmark's like $2 as an add-on.
Mhm.
The sticker is like $2 or $3 as an add-on. It's like, yeah, it's no big deal.
I just wanted to touch on one more thing. Well, okay, one more thing. The amount that in which you decide to set your goal at, with the price increases coming from this year, from always talked about with Comics Wellspring, and Mixum is cheaper but not far behind in those prices. Are you thinking about setting an extra $200 on the goal, or do you have a good amount of faith in the funded replication? I guess the funded multiplication of the Kickstarter campaign.
Well, with
because I know that you've
Gallows
increased
Man,
it over the years.
The Gallows Man issue 3, I'm honestly probably just going to put it at like $750. I can almost guarantee / my goal in my head is $1,500, but I'm probably just going to set it at $750. I'm almost certain it's going to reach $1,500. If it goes beyond that, that's great. Tales from Town, I don't see it reaching Tales from Town City. That's not the highest campaign I've had, but it like was a high one. I don't see it reaching that because it's a little bit different. Like, it is same universe but different vibe sort of thing. It's an anthology. Anyone can jump into that sort of thing. But yeah, I can see this Kickstarter hitting $1,500, but I'm gonna play it safe for the fans of Gallows Man by doing $750, so that it's 100% guarantee that I'll hit that. And like basically like 99% sure it's going to hit 1,500 sort of thing. That's what I want it to hit. If it hits that, and that's not even a financial thing, that's just
right
objective in my head sort of thing, the video game objective.
Yeah.
Financially, like, that's the thing with the Gallows Man is especially in issue 3, we had talked about how like once you like your issue 1 and issue 2 of a series, those are kind of good to get larger amounts of, or to do second prints or restock on and stuff. But with an issue 3, like I'm just going to do this, as well as I could always restock and get the same price. I'm not going through Comics Wellspring or Mixum. I never have for the Gallows Man series.
Oh, really?
Because Mixum, like the main thing is because the Gallows Man, like each issue is very large. It's I mean, issues 1 and 2, including cover, front cover, back cover, all that stuff, it's 56 pages. Interiors is 52 pages. Those issues 1 and 2. Issue 3 is going to be 60 interior pages. It's a big boy, the chunky boy. And the big reason I'm not doing Mixum is, like, with this book, I'm not planning on really getting more than like 150 copies, unless like a crap ton of people are backing the Kickstarter. Then I have to get more. But I'm expecting, in terms of the Kickstarter, like shipping out 60 to 75 copies sort of thing, and then having like 75 to 100 just stocked away. So Mixum, with that low of a run, that low of a print, it's not really good for Mixum. You need to get a little bit higher for you to really see a saving there. And then Comics Wellspring, they jacked their prices up, and I fiddled around for what a 60 interior book would cost for the number I want, whether it be 150 or 200 copies. I think it was like $5.88 a unit.
Yeah.
Something, and that's before shipping. So once you have shipping, once you factor all that in, and they're discounts, you're looking at like $6.50 a book, basically, a unit, like that I'm paying for.
And just for perspective, last year, I think almost all of your comics were $7.
Yeah. Well, last year, yeah, I had them for $6. I've increased the price. Like this year, when I started doing cons, I increased the price. But last year they were $6 because the unit cost for a lot of the stuff, whether it was Comics Wellspring or this one company I go through or whatever, most of the time it wound up being about $3, maybe $3 and some change sort of thing. So I was okay with 6, but like prices have increased, as well as if people are going to buy my books at conventions, they'll buy them for $8. Like $8, $6. Like if someone's going to buy the book, they're going to buy the book, sort of thing. I don't think the $2 price difference on that old book really makes a difference. Now, if it's like $6 compared to $10 or $6 compared to $12, that's where you see people deciding, do I want to buy it or do I not want to buy it? But it's such a small price difference. I was like, yeah, I got to increase to 8, because also most other indies are doing 10 and up, and there's no issue with that.
Yeah,
most of them are doing 10 and up for their comics.
I'm thinking about 12.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, is there's no issue with increasing the price. So even at like $8 for a lot of these comics, like it's still like, compared to a lot of the people that are the very few that we see in my neck of the woods at conventions, there's like 3 or 4 of us indie comic guys at these conventions. But yeah, like most of us are doing $10-12 issues sort of thing. So even at $8, I'm still the cheap guy.
Yeah.
Kind of.
But I was just saying, to put in perspective of this price difference, you were looking at almost $5 or $6 a unit, and you had been selling them at $6 the year previously. So you know, that's crazy of an increase. And
now the the company I'm going through with printing the Gallows Man, they had a slight price increase as well, but that's been a thing that like I've seen it like very smallly increase over the past 2 years, and I understand why it increased. It wasn't an all of a sudden like $1 to $1.50 extra dollars sort of increase. And like per unit, like even after shipping, Gallows Man 3 is a big book. It's essentially like a mini graphic novel, but staple bound, essentially. Like it's thick, 60 interior pages. The quote that I have right now is, I mean, it's not great, but compared to Comics Wellspring, compared to Mix, compared to everyone else, it's the best one. And also, I like how they do the staple bound for Gallows Man, because that's the one issue is like Dismay Avenue. I printed through Comics Wellspring with Dismay Avenue. Dismay Avenue 2 was a thick book. It's the same, I think the same size of Gallows Man 3, 60 interior pages. It's thick. Like it's 60 interior and 80 cover, but it is thick with Comics Wellspring. This company I'm going through, it's the same paper type, but it's not as thick. Like it doesn't feel bulky. I mean, it does weigh because it's a bunch of pages, but it, like, I don't know, the spine sits flatter. It looks like it looks good on a shelf sort of thing. So with the look of it, as well as it being after shipping, it's like like shipping from them, it's about $4.50 a unit. But it is a thicker book. I mean, it's the size of like 3 comics basically.
Right.
For $4.50, like compared to the Wellspring price, plus I know the book is going to be flatter, I'll take that. And I did have to increase the Kickstarter reward tier prices slightly, but not by much.
All right. So The the elephant in the room is you've been avoiding saying whatever this company's name is. Is this
Well,
confidential?
no, it's not confidential. I sometimes forget how to pronounce it.
Oh,
It's Image. It's Image Now by Mahar, and Mahar is Mahar. But they
oh yeah,
now have like
you mentioned it before.
they now have like a comic offshoot kind of, and I forgot what that is. But going through Image Now by Mahar. If anyone's interested, just DM me and I can send you the link, or specifically the email. There's a guy named Aaron that I go through with all this. Like, he's the comic offshoot of this printing company. But it's fairly good prices. I actually I can probably send it to you. He has like a interior page breakdown of all the prices, and if I remember, I want to say, actually, here, I can pull it up real quick. I want to say like 24 pages. And also, this is another thing to keep in mind. There's no like minimum, I don't think. Maybe there's like a 10 print minimum or something. But there's no like, oh, you have to order 50 copies before you see it at this or whatever. And now that's another thing, is there's no bulk discount. I don't think bulk discounts with this company happens to like 500 or 1,000 copies sort of thing. But the unit cost is always the low cost.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like you're trying to print like 25 books and each book is like $10 a piece sort of thing, because you're printing so low. I'll try to find this guy's email real quick, and I can tell you exactly how much each page thing is. Okay. All right, so this is color interiors. 20-page interiors, it's $235 a unit. That's not including the shipping. 24 pages, it's $250 a unit. Basically, every 4 pages you add, it's 15 extra cents. So for a 20-page comic, the unit cost is $235.
Okay. So in my limited experience of between Comics Wellspring and Kablam, I really enjoy the thickness of Comics Wellspring.
Oh yeah.
But I really like the cover. The thickness of the cover feels sturdy.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter to me too much what the interiors feel like. What's the feel and the vibe, I guess you could say, of this
I mean,
printer?
it feels, because I usually get that's the thing. Every company, you can do 80 gloss cover and 60 interior. All of them have 80 gloss cover, 60 interior. None of them feel the same though. Like, one says 60 interior, the other says 60 interior, but there's a weight difference there, or there's like, it's usually a weight difference. It's like, but isn't this measured by weight? Like, how
yeah,
how did you mess I don't know. It's something going on with all the different companies. But no, I like it. Like, honestly, with the Gallows Man, it's the most, and I like thicker covers, and you can get thicker covers with these guys, but it's the most like comic book floppy feel. It's not cheap. It's not like I turn a page and I've already dented or crinkled the page, because it's so it's Marvel page thin, basically. I don't know if Marvel's fixed that issue, but a year or two ago they had some very thin pages. But no, it's really good quality. I like it, and the reason I wasn't bashing Comics Wellspring with the thickness part, it was more, if you're doing like a 20-page, 32-page book with Comics Wellspring, it works well. Like 20, 32-page works well with Comics Wellspring. The issue is when you get like a 56-page book or a 60-page book, it's the cover feels nice and stuff, but this book is like
A book.
like I'm putting it into a sleeve, and it's bent flesh jetting out a little bit at the spine.
It's that kid in the Christmas store that can't put his arms down.
Yeah, like that's my issue with Comics Wellspring is I do like their page quality, but once you get into like the higher page counts, you got a thick boy right there.
Yeah.
So
all right, Brandon. Our last thing, you're working on 7 comics. You want to tell us about that?
yes, I realized a week ago because I was counting them all up. I was like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. I guess now it's technically 6 because one of the 7 was I think I talked about it last podcast. I got hired to do a 7-page mini comic. I was hired to do a 4-page. Wound up doing a 7-page.
Yeah.
But I got hired to do that. I finished that. Went through editing. That checked out. He sent me the payment. So, and he had mentioned like if I want, I don't have to be, but if I want to be a part of like the editing process, because he's going to hire a professional editor, or if the artist has any concerns with stuff, I'm welcome to. I don't have to help with that. But I was like, oh yeah, heck yeah, for sure. Like I'm glad I got paid for this, but at the end of the day, like I just want to see these stories come out the best they can be. So if I can at least have some input in that, I'm down with that. So that one's basically done until like get to editing and all that.
Yeah.
So really it's 6 right now. It's the mini comic I'm working on with you. It's Gallows 3, Dismay Avenue #3. The 2 series that issue 1s are like almost done in terms of art. And then I'm going to try to pitch those 2 series. And then this one comic that I'm collabed with 4 different artists, which if we stick to the schedule, pretty much as soon as the Gallows Man #3 Kickstarter ends, that Kickstarter will start. It's like literally a few days after. So I'll do the interview circuit with Gallows Man 3, and then I'll hop back on a lot of these channels and be like, I've got another project, but it's not just me. Here's some other people here with me. But if all goes to plan, everyone's got their pages done. We're trying to make sure everything gets done. My big thing, because we had a Zoom meeting recently, we're trying to now have Zoom meetings every couple weeks or every week. My big thing that I mentioned was we need like the deadline for all the artists. My work is done. I wrote the script in like 2 days, edited and all that stuff. I was like, here you guys go. Writing is so much less time consuming than art. These guys have the hard test, the long test. But basically we settled on like, okay, if we're going to have like a mid-October launch, this needs to be done. Like everyone needs to have their pages done by the end of August. That way we can collect it all into the digital format that we need, because most everyone's doing traditional, then scanning and doing edits and stuff like that. Need to collect it all digitally, have it in the PDF and stuff, so that we just have it ready to go for printing. But also the main reason I want that to be there is the people that are going to review it, or the people we're going to have on their show, or we're going to be on their show. I want to give them something at least 2 weeks prior to the show so that they can like know what the heck we're talking about. Because this comic, I love the idea, but if you didn't read it, when we're going to be talking about it, there's going to be a bunch of vagueness to it.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of stuff going on with it. Like we have like a series that can branch off from this, a few series that can branch off with this. But there's going to be a lot of vagueness to our talking, to where I would like the person interviewing to at least have read the comic. And that way they're able to hit on the stuff rather than us just giving these vague talks about the comic. But yeah, that's all the stuff I have going on right now. Hope to
Well,
have all this out soon.
well, that sounds super fun. I really, it's so when I said mentioned the Kickstarter uh, goal, I feel like there's something to it where you, you have had multiple successful Kickstarters. You're having a lot of multiple successful comics, and um, as your portfolio grows and your name grows, I feel like there should be just be an inherent value that kind of goes up with that.
Yeah.
So, uh, you know, the hope and dream of all of us is to replace our current jobs, or at least, you know, kind of sidetrack them while this one develops, you know, into more of your full-time you know, energy going to. Um, so in the future of all your series, when do you see going up to like a 2,000 or 3,000 or
Oh,
$5,000 mark?
yeah. I mean, like with Gallows Man 3, I could easily set it for 1,500. Part of it is also like during that whole time, like I hate stressing about that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
If I know I hit the 750, like I know I'm going to go beyond that. I know I'm almost definitely going to hit 1,500, maybe more. Um, but the big thing for me is just like guaranteed, so I don't have to run another Kickstarter sort of thing.
But like, what's it gonna take? Like,
Yeah.
for like, what's the years that you put into it? What's the, you
Well,
know?
it's either years or who all I'm collaborating with. Um, because the but like if it's me and some notable artists, not saying like DC or Marvel guys, but like notable like indie artists or
Mhm.
whatever, then like I can increase that campaign a good bit because we're all pulling from our own fandom sort of thing.
Right.
Um, but just me, if it's just me, like that's the seller of this. Obviously, the book, the series is, but like my name is what's attracting. Um, I think it'll take maybe a few more, at least a couple more years before like
Yeah.
I'm fine with any book being like a $3,000 goal or whatever.
And like, it doesn't necessarily like you said, there are some things that you can just cover with the expenses. Um, and you just set a small goal and then get it funded and
Yeah.
go above and beyond. Um, but you know, it's just kind of one of those vague questions that I'm like, uh, Dynamite put out Vampirella for 20 something thousand, and then
Yeah.
Dave Kellett and Brad are like in the 20 to what, 70,000, like
Well,
big.
yeah, and with like Boom and Dynamite, it's not only one, you have the company,
Right.
like you have the big name company, so it's like, oh, like I'm gonna go check out that. Then you also got the big name title. My stupid dog. You have the big name title. You have Vampirella. That's also a big attractor. Then you also have like a big team on it, a big writing and artist team on it. That's also a big attractor. And then because it's the big company, because they have all this stuff, they have a lot of money to put into marketing of this, to where like it's guaranteed. Like they put the 20,000, but really that's them putting my 750. They
Right.
know that it'll make 50,000 plus,
Hmm.
but they're just playing it safe and be like, like let's put it at 20,000.
Yeah, uh, for sure. So, well, that's our hopes and dreams in the future, and it's like we're not wanting to just be roll it in money. We just want to be able to pay our house and our cars, uh, and do what we love doing. Because this has been so fun. This year
Yeah.
has been awesome. The Kickstarter was fun. I think it was a little bumpy, but it was very fun, and there was a lot of things that I learned with it. And then, um, and I know that that has to be like a similar thing with you, um, as we not. And then on top of that, we're going to be talking about long legs here in a second. And it's going to be a separate episode, because there's going to be spoilers where we don't want to dance around. We want to cut to it. So, but in other creative things that we watch and we ingest, and anything like movies and media, I've been watching House of the Dragon, and that's inspired a whole other part of me again, because I loved Game of Thrones. Um, Not so much those later seasons, but I loved what they were, George R. R. Martin's writing. And, the showrunners and directors of that time were doing really well. And it was just a very inspirational thing to see. And now as a creator, I feel like I really get to pull from that stuff and make something new. And it's been really fun. So that's our hope, is to make uh, the new title that has fans. And we're not asking for millions of fans, but we're excited to see the feedback, and excited to see when people are interested in it. And like when reviewers are handpicking you because they're like, actually, I like this book, so I'm going to review it. So it's just really, really exciting and fulfilling. So
And I
I
will
like
say,
having a goal in mind.
yeah, and I will say, my financial goal of all of this, like a very, I'm almost certain I could hit it, but it's one that I'm going for. It's very small right now, because you want goal to build. You want a step one goal, step two goal, that sort of stuff.
Hmm.
Um, the current goal I'm going for, there's a lot of stuff that I'm have planned with my life in the next year or so, but my goal is to, from a year or two from now, half of my income is through writing, writing comics, that sort of thing, is through writing, just half of it. Because and also like my way of living, I've been mapping it out because I really want to reach this goal. My way of living will go down in terms of cost as well, with certain apartments and different stuff like that, rooming in, roommates, that sort of stuff. Like, I simply want a year or two from now where half my income comes from writing, and then the other half is part-time job
Hmm.
somewhere. Um, like basically, and part-time job meaning like 3 to 4 days a week, because I want to spend at least half the week writing, or doing something creative.
Yeah.
So that's like the 1 to 2 years down the road goal that I have for me. I feel like I could hit it sooner than 2 years, but that's what I want right now for me, is half my income. And like the cost of living is going to be a lot cheaper. I mean, it already is cheap, but the cost of living is going to be a lot cheaper than what it was 2 years ago for me. And half of that is through simply writing.
Yeah, that's a good goal. I responded to Brad on Substack, with his similar question, but mine's gonna be further down. I feel I'm a little bit fresher into this industry, but in about 5 years, I want to be making half of the money that I would be making at my day job. So, my goal is to be making, let's say hypothetically, I'm making 40,000 a year, to be making 20,000 a year on working with my comics and my properties. So
Yeah.
and then set the next goal. But it's been very fun and very eye-opening in different ways and things of that nature. But we're gonna bring this episode to a close as an hour and 45 minutes. And then me and Brandon are gonna come back and talk about long legs, and this will be separate. I think we'll shoot for about 15 to 20 minutes. I do love doing a deep dive on some movies, but I'm getting tired, and but we do want to talk about that. But Brandon, thank you as always for joining us on the American Dismay Experience. This is Brandon Ingram with Dismay Comics, my good buddy. You can find him at Dismay Comics on Instagram and on Facebook. And then I'm Austin Light with American Demon Comics at americandemoncomics.com and on Substack at American Demon Comics and American Demon Comics on Instagram and Facebook. Is there anything you want to finish on?
I will say we need to have a drum roll into the podcast from now on, and then in a robotic female voice, someone saying, "The American Dismay Experience."
Yes.
American Dismay podcast. All night, all day.
I do hope to have some kind of intro in the future, but for now, it will just be me going hello.
You saying American Dismay Experience is what had me thinking.
Right. But thank you, Brandon, and we will be seeing you here shortly and on the next episode.
Take care, everyone.